Hello, a very good afternoon. This is the Sports Doyen. I'm Kushagra, and we're joined by Siddharth Vishwanathan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Siddharth. I mean, we're very lucky to have you here. Siddharth is someone of course, I'm sure a lot of you follow, loads of platforms that he's worked for. CricBuzz being one of the, buzzwords in cricket news and cricket updates these days. Of course, one of the foremost platforms there. And along with that, Times Internet, NDTV, Hindustan Times, Z, DNA. So, Siddharth brings in a wealth of experience, and we are so lucky to have you on board. Siddharth, so happy to have you on.
Honor to be associated with you guys. Honor.
Of course, the honors indeed does. The honors indeed does, and of course, our regular Pratmesh is back on. Gents, as I start to sort of do a little bit of housekeeping, inform our viewers as to where we are situated today. Fantastic दिन, बहुत ही अच्छा performance by India. We've really enjoyed the last 3.25 days. I think 3.5 days नहीं कहेंगे. That won't be fair. Joe Root, the Indian team tried its best to get him not out towards the end, but unfortunately he still gave his wicket away. That catch, वो सिराज ने कैसे drop किया? I'm still confused. How did that not settle into the breadbasket? Is something that I'm quite surprised by. But yes, all in all, lovely. India lost the first Test match by 227 runs. They've defeated England by 317 runs. This is the biggest victory margin in terms of runs for India against England, and it is, I think, the fourth biggest victory margin in terms of runs in India for India, which is, it has broken quite a few records going there. Ravichandran Ashwin finished the match with a century and 8 wickets. Of course, the deserved man of the match. Akshar Patel gets a fiver on debut. Rohit Sharma scores a cracking 161. Virat scores a fighting 62, and Ajinkya Rahane, continues his good second Test match form with a 67 in the first innings. So loads of positives for India. Yeah, Siddharth said, loads of checkboxes have been ticked, and all in all, I'll start with you, Siddharth. Virat Kohli must be a really, really happy man today, especially after those 4 consecutive losses people spoke about under his captaincy.
Absolutely. I mean, Virat was coming into the Chepauk test with plenty of pressure. 4 tests, and on top of that, Ajinkya Rahane doing incredibly well in Australia. Plus, for Kohli's lofty standards, he still hasn't scored a ton ever since 2019.
Yeah.
But that 227-run loss in the first test. But 2 things changed. One, which we will not admit, but it is the crowd. The crowd entering Chepauk totally changed the dynamics of the match. There was passion, there was an electrifying thing, despite it being 50% capacity. But Chennai people are used to playing in 50% capacity anyways, because I think these fans are always so, and to prepare a rank turner, which we will get back to it later. So this win is as important as Melbourne, as important as Brisbane, because the ICC World Test Championship final race is now once again totally open.
Absolutely. And a word also on the hometown boy as well. I mean, Ravi Ashwin, what a performance, a test for the ages for him. Something I'm sure he'll tell his grandchildren and great grandchildren. I hope he gets that opportunity. But he'll definitely this is a performance that we remembered for a lifetime. I've seen so many fans talking about, we want a stand after Ashwin. We want a statue of Ashwin. He's the greatest Tamil Nadu cricketer of all time. And, loads of people talking about that. Surely he has that claim to fame for sure. I am sure he rates quite highly in terms of the best players produced by the state. But just moving beyond Tamil Nadu, what an absolute gentleman, and what an advertisement for Indian cricket is that individual. The guts, the grit, the determination, most importantly, the brains.
I mean, Ash is, if MS Dhoni is the Tala for CSK, Ashwin is the true Tala when it comes to first-class cricket and Test cricket. So many people have gotten inspired by Ashwin. Washington Sundar, T. Natarajan. And it was Ashwin who really put Tamil Nadu's forgotten legacy back in the Indian cricket setup. But this Test match, again, my goodness, I mean, the depth, forget Ashwin. Ashwin his record against the Fab Three. Now we can't include Kohli, of course. The Fab Three against Steve Smith, against Joe Root, against Kane Williamson is phenomenal. That itself makes him an impact player. Plus that mojo of against left-handers. 20 top dismissals, at least 18 are left-handers from all countries. He is a thorough nightmare for them. Thorough nightmare. And the dismissal of Stokes.
Ben Stokes didn't know where to look.
Lions should have learned how to bowl to Ben Stokes in that Headingley test match. Drift, spin. Brilliant. And once again, the scariest part after Chepauk is the depth, boss. What depth we have.
Yeah.
Axar has slotted in back. Axar. You have more addition in Siraj. You have Natarajan waiting. You have Shardul waiting. You have Kuldeep also. He took 3 wickets, but his contribution is next to nothing. Looking at the brilliance of Akshar and Ashwin. What depth, boss. I mean, these are scary times for the selectors. I wouldn't want to be applying for the post of chief selector of zone or BCCI anytime in the near future.
No, absolutely. And, welcome to Afzal as well. Thanks, man, for joining us. कल थोड़े से internet issues हुए थे, but I'm sure all of that is in the past, and we look forward to having you on hopefully today evening as well, with respect to the IPL discussions as well. But I'll come to you right after Siddharth now, and quite expected lines पे था ये morning का display. We expected India to wrap up England as soon as possible. Moeen Ali ne thoda entertainment provide kiya towards the end. I felt like he could break Misbah-ul-Haq's record for the fastest 50. He was on 48, and I think he was just one hit away from getting to that particular record. So slightly unfortunate for him, but all in all, just mightily impressive, and just lovely to see Kuldeep finally get 2 wickets. Where when that Root catch was dropped off his bowling, I felt so bad for the poor guy. I felt like एक तो वैसी bowling भी नहीं मिला, और जब इतनी मुश्किल से मिला तो their best batsman, he's got him playing the reverse sweep, and the catch is also not held. A very simple catch by Siraj. But just your overall opinion on the test match. I'm sure you must be very happy.
Absolutely. I mean, see, थोड़ा मुझे अजीब लगा that Ashwin got the MOM. I mean, yes, it was a rank turner. He exploited the conditions, and the century was brilliant. No taking away that fact. Lekin the base for India's dominance was actually set by Rohit Sharma. That 161 which he hit is equivalent to the impact that Peterson and Cook had in that 2012 Mumbai test. जो पहले ही दिन से एक rank turner था. And Moeen Ali showed, तुम अगर aggressive intent के साथ खेलोगे, positive intent के साथ खेलोगे, you take the pitch out of the equation. All the comment, it's like a section. I'm not saying the entire English press or the entire analysts have criticized the pitch. It's like a sand pit. It's like a beach. But boss, Moeen Ali showed 5 sixes mara hai. You showed positive intent, you could have dominated.
Yeah.
So the criticism of the pitch was again one-sided. ये हम छोड़ ही देते हैं. That let us not even discuss about the nuances of the pitch. वो green top, spinning decks. It is all an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. This it goes on.
Yeah.
So
we have Nathan to discuss the pitch nuances.
Okay. Right time.
If it's not green, it's not good. That's the way to decide the rules of the pitch.
but to give Nathan his fair credit, if you read the ICC definition of the poor pitch word to word, it actually fits that description. Just to give Nathan his due, that if you read the ICC playing condition, the pitch technically word by word was poor, but it was also poor skill by the English batsman. In India, in Lords 2018 showed terrible team composition and terrible technique. So Anderson and Broad nominated, obviously. But yes, a rank turner, we finally got our own back. And it's
Afzal, I'll come straight to you. Yeah, Nathan, you were saying something, sorry.
I was just going to say, there's no point of making the excuse of the pitch being poor. The biggest difference was your spinners were more accurate. And you can say about the technique, but if you're putting 6 out of 6 in the right place, it's just going to be one ball that you're just going to take the player. Whereas obviously
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like the England were 4 out of 6. So those release shots so you could hit for 4 made batting much easier, much calmer for your players, and that was in the end the biggest difference. So I'm not going to complain about the pitch, but I prefer a
Absolutely,
greener
yeah.
pitch.
I think you'll see a lot of green tinge and green patches in the next Test match. I'm sure, because yeah, as I mentioned last time as well, yesterday as well. I think the pitch in Ahmedabad is going to be quite different, especially for the third Test match, for the pink ball Test match. Is going to be quite different as compared to the pitch that you've seen here in Chennai, and I think that will assist the seamers and the fast bowlers quite a bit. Afzal, I'll come to you. Just your opinion on the Test match, of course, the final day as well. How did you see it, and where do you think India goes from here? Because it will be very difficult to say. We were discussing this yesterday. Some people mentioned, you might have Sundar come in for Akshar, but how do you drop Akshar after this performance?
First of all, the test match was a classical Indian test match. Like, bat big in the first innings, decimate your opposition, take a big enough lead, and then score runs quickly in the second innings, and let the pitch do its job on day 3, day 4, day 5. And that is what a classical test match in Indian conditions is. So Indian team performed well in all the 3 aspects, be it batting, be it bowling, even in the fielding. And then that was the reason where we won the game over the Englishmen, because India were a poor fielding side in the first match. If you remember, we dropped half chances, whereas England converted all the half chances into a wicket, be it Rahane's dismissal where Root held on to a catch on his left hand side, or be it the unfortunate dismissal of Pujara. Whereas India, we flung a few catches, and that led to our downfall. So this test match was a good comeback by this Indian team, and it sets up nicely for the remaining 2 games in conditions which might favor the English team, as we have seen Motera being a swinging wicket in the Syed Mushtaq Ali. So I believe that the wicket will also suit the Pacers, at least in the third game, not in the fourth as much as in the third. And regarding Akshar Patel's performance, he was brilliant. He used the pitch to his effect. He bowled tight lines. He had the Englishman play most of his deliveries, be it on the front foot or the back foot. They had to play. They had nowhere to go. They were not, like, they did not get any chance to just leave the balls or pad the deliveries, because everything was on the stumps and on the money.
Yeah.
And regarding the changes in the next game, it will be very difficult to drop Akshar. But if this team has confidence on Akshar's batting, then I don't think he will be dropped in the next game. And the only change would be that we'll bring in Bumrah for Kuldeep. That'll be the only change if this Indian team believes and has confidence on Akshar's batting. If there are still doubts on Akshar's batting, then Washington Sundar will be coming in.
But don't you think I'll carry this on, Nitin? I'll come right to you right after this. I'll come to Pratmesh first. But Pratmesh, don't you think if you're going to drop someone like Akshar Patel and you're going to bring in someone like Sundar, you're reducing the options once again for the captain in terms of wicket-taking bowlers? Because once again, unless Washington Sundar is going to do something that we've not seen him do in the past couple of months or throughout his very brief career as well, unless he's going to do is he has developed some unique delivery that we did not know of up until last week. I don't see him being a massive threat to the English batsmen. And we were discussing about the approach that the English batsmen might take. They might take a more aggressive approach, might take a leaf out of Moeen Ali's book and just generally be more aggressive. And we've seen once Nadeem and Sundar were put under pressure, they were blasted for runs in the first Test match.
I feel it's equally important to take 20 wickets in a test match. It might be to score 500, 600 runs or 700 over 2 innings. So I feel in that sense, you might see the bowling combination that everyone thinks is the more obvious one, wherein Kuldeep might be replaced by Bumrah. The pink ball Kushagra is pretty unique because we haven't seen a lot of it in India. We've seen what happens with the Kookaburra, we've seen what happens with the Dukes, but the SG ball and especially the new version of the SG ball and how that actually functions will be something that will be interesting to see when the pink ball test actually begins. Usually what happens with the pink ball is when it comes towards that twilight zone where it's difficult for batsmen to spot the ball as well at times, and then under the light it starts swinging. So the first session will be incredibly crucial. And since the match will start at the afternoon, it's highly unlikely that the pitch will have any sort of moisture. So that would be interesting to see how a pitch works out. The final session will be difficult for batting. Considering all of that, probably in the first session you might need two attacking spinners if India are bowling first, along with someone like Bumrah or Ishant or Siraj, to actually get those early wickets. Because once you go under the floodlights, probably the dew comes out on the pitch, the outfield becomes quicker as well. Maybe the ball will also come out onto the bat quicker, so you might get runs quickly as well. So there are different like there under the lights, the things might assist both batsmen and bowlers, but you need those attacking options. And Washington Sundar unfortunately doesn't give the variety that Virat has been talking about in the last two games. That he needs one bowler to bring the ball in and one bowler to bring the ball out, and that is exactly what Akshar Patel does. So, and considering when you take 5 wickets and he bowled really well in the first innings as well, it's very difficult to drop him now. I don't think that would happen personally, but if the batting scenario changes, like Shubman Gill has been sent for scans. What happens to Shubman is going to be another question. How we deal with that. If not, then Mayank comes in. So if India feel that with Mayank coming in and Mayank not being in form, maybe we might go for Washington so that to have that extra depth in batting, then that could be still an option. And Siddharth, I mean, I noticed your point about the Chepauk crowd, and man, I've been to Chepauk a couple of times. The crowd is excellent, even with 50% capacity, since the two stands are not working. But that effect of Chepauk, probably I felt the same similar one at Wankhede, the two stadiums where crowd has a massive effect because of the way the ground is. And it was incredible just to hear that noise. In the last, they started doing that hoo ha when Stuart Broad was batting. Everything was so intimidating for an Englishman. I just feel that that was one of the major things that why India did really well while they were bowling, as Virat did the whistle thing. Every 15-20 minutes he talked in the post match as well. That it is his responsibility to make sure the crowd is up because the bowler is bowling in such heat that it will be difficult for him to bowl longer spells. So if the crowd is backing you, you get an extra bit of motivation. So I think that was an incredible scenario to have crowd back, and the way the Indian team actually helped the crowd themselves and the crowd helped the Indian team, it was a perfect one.
Absolutely. And Nathan, I'll come straight to you now. All in all, this isn't something that you weren't expecting yesterday, and we spoke about this yesterday as well. You wanted England to show some fight. To their credit, they did show some fight. I wouldn't say they showed a lot of fight, but I was slightly disappointed by Ben Stokes. I felt like had he played more freely, more attacking, he might have actually created more of an issue for the Indian bowlers. But it seemed like he was happy to hold one end up. And if you're going to do that on these pitches, as you mentioned yourself, there's going to be a ball that's got your name on it, and that's what happened with him eventually. Joe Root looked at sea. It took him to get out 3 times to actually get out for the Indian team to take his wicket. Either the umpires were not going to give him LBW, or the Indian catch fielders were saying, I'm not going to catch easy catches of you, man. Come on, get out properly or something like that. So he himself, eventually the vagaries of the pitch, the ball bounced so much, hit him, I think, on the glove or the top of his handle, and went to the slip there. But beyond that, any takeaways from the match along with this? Also, with Moeen Ali's performance, do you think he has a spot reserved for himself now in the next Test match, or do you still think he's not going to be a part of it?
He's been sent home.
He's being sent home?
Yeah, he's been rested, I think, for the next 2 tests.
All he's done is play 1 Test match in 2 months, and he's gone home.
In 2 years, mate. I don't get that call. I get the call about sending Butler home. I do understand that call, because putting Vokes in is not as much of a loss as that much of a loss. But Moeen Ali's nowhere near getting into any team at the moment, so I don't really understand why he's been sent home. Yeah,
Maybe that's why he was smiling at the end of the match. I could not really figure out why he's walking away smiling, because he's thinking about going back home. Is it? I did not know that. I think I had no idea that he's going to get home after this.
Yeah, it was only announced half an hour ago. I think he was smiling because he actually hit 5 sixes. It's the most amount of sixes he's hit in about 5 years. That's what he was smiling about. Look at me being top run scorer here. But no, back to
probably sealed an IPL spot for himself. Maybe Delhi Capitals.
Yeah.
That's what it was
Moeen
smiling
Ali
about.
sold for 4 crores. These days, what Varun says.
It was more out the fact Kohli let him go from RCB. So it's like, see, this is what I can do if you give me the chance. But back on to today's, I think Ben Stokes was just lost at sea himself. I don't think he had a chance to play any aggressive shots because he couldn't pick the line, he couldn't pick the length, he just couldn't do anything. He looked more of a Jimmy Anderson type batsman than himself. So that's probably why he went a bit more on his bulky. So he probably thought, if I take a bit of pressure, they're on top. In about an hour's time, they might get a bit edgy because they expected to take a wicket by now. But then a straight one kept him and he's edged down to his pad and into gloves. Like we said though at the start, England have won 6 games on the bounce before today. I'm no stato, but I'm pretty certain the last time we won 6 was in about 6 years pre this 6-run game. We were going to lose. It was pretty inevitable, but I don't think we need to panic or anything. We didn't.
I don't.
There's no need to panic. We just need the ball to have a bit of we need a pitch on the third test to have a bit of green stuff on, and this confidence will soon come back to us.
Absolutely, and I think the English can take heart from the fact that even when it was a very, very difficult pitch, the margin of victory for India, it may be 90 runs more than England, but margin of victory for India is roughly on similar lines to what the margin of victory for England was. So we are probably truly 1-1 in this series, and everything rests on that pink ball test match. And we've spoken a lot about that pink ball test match. I honestly believe quite a substantial amount of home advantage will be negated through that pink ball and the conditions and the very fact that Indian team themselves have not played, they've just played one test match, and I don't know how many in the squad would have actually played that particular test match. So it's gonna be interesting. And also Nathan, just a news for you guys. While Moeen Ali has been sent back, Mohammad Shami has been added to the Indian Test team. So that could be a problem for England, especially with the pink ball Test match. I think Mohammad Shami would frankly be one of my favorite, proponents of the pink ball, because he can move the ball both ways, and then he can reverse the ball as well when it starts getting older. So,
and the seam position and the zip that he gets.
Yeah, fantastic.
Did you guys agree to this day night thinking he'll be 2-0 up and thought, oh, let's try and make it look like it'll be half interesting in the third game?
It could have been like that, but I think England surprised one and all by their performance in the first test match, and credit where credit is due. They thoroughly outplayed the Indian team. They thoroughly outperformed them in all 3 aspects of the game. And that is why I guess you saw an aberration or reaction from the Indian setup, from the Indian management, who weren't particularly happy with the preparation of the pitch, who weren't particularly happy with the type of pitch that had been afforded to both the teams in the first test match, and that is why you've seen more of a trickier pitch for the English batsmen. But if a team's making 600 odd runs, I guess that argument is sort of negated there. But I think in the third test match, you're gonna see a more even pitch, which appeals to both the teams on the competitive sides. I think that will be there. I'll just take a few comments, guys. Mom's back in the comments. She says Virat motivated his team with his grand score, and it was indeed a Gabba moment. Yes, every victory is now a Gabba moment for us these days, and this indeed, it was because it was a vital victory for the Indians in the World Test Championship. England dropped down back to 4th. India have come up to 2nd. They're just behind New Zealand, who are at 70%.
Yes,
and India are at 9.7. Rohit says, if Hardik is back to bowling fitness, do you think he fits into the day-night match squad if we need a fast bowling all-rounder? Rohit, personally, Hardik has not played test match since when? He's not played a test match in almost 3 years. The last
Yeah.
last test he played was on the Tour of England, and I think the next test match he's going to play is going to be on the Tour of England. So I don't think he's going to play a test match in India, and you cannot risk him because if he breaks down while bowling, you're not just risking him for the test match or the series. You're risking him for the IPL, then the subsequent World Test Championship final if you get there, and then the England series and the World T20. So I don't think the Indian team will take that big a risk, especially in Ahmedabad, where Pratmesh has mentioned multiple times. It's going to be hot, it's going to be dry, and it's going to be difficult. So in that particular scenario, in a test match, to play as a fast bowling all-rounder on a pink ball test match, you'd expect him to be good enough to bowl at least 15 overs in the match, maybe 20. I don't know if he can really, he has the fitness in his back to bowl 20 overs right now. Hardik is not bowling yet, Varun says.
No, he's not.
Just asking hypothetically, Rohit. Rohit, personally, if he's 100% fit, Hardik Pandya is a must in your test team, but he's not. And that is the problem we're facing. Siddharth saying hello to Siddharth. Siddharth, is good to see Sid on the show. Ekbar, I think once we can just do a Siddharth show, isn't it?
Yes.
We've got three Siddharths on, and the three of you will have like incredible banter. So of course we'll get that.
I mean,
Rohit,
different spellings, so it can be like Ed and Eddie, Sid and whatever.
Exactly. It is quite like Ed and Eddie. Also waiting for Shubman Gill's scan results. Yeah, I spoke about this yesterday. I hope this is not much of an injury. He sustained a blow straight on his forearm, from a pull shot in the second innings, and towards the end of the day's play yesterday. I hope he's fine. I hope he's not injured. But if he is, it'll just be quite typical, isn't it? It's Mayank Agarwal's birthday today. So if the scans come out not so positively for Shubman, I'm not saying it's a present for Mayank Agarwal. Might be something. I don't know. I won't think he would want his own teammate to be injured.
No.
Atul says, KD, Akshar, Ishant, Pant, and Ashwin. See a connection? Yes. Champions of 2021 IPL? Yes. Of course, that's Delhi Capitals. Why not? Akshar, Ishant, Pant, and Ashwin. I am a Delhi Capitals supporter. I'm a Delhi boy. Yeah. I would love to see Delhi win. That would be amazing. Thank God.
Kushagra, 161, just putting it out there. 161 was also
lovely. Bro, frankly, as long as India win the series, I'm not bothered at all about the IPL. All I want is for India to win the series, and that's all I want. Yeah.
Thank God IPL team doesn't do well.
Which is the IPL team that you support, Nathan?
Rajasthan.
I knew it. I was going to say Rajasthan.
So many English players, yeah.
That's how I picked it.
Why did you pick it?
Most England players.
Most England players. All right. Of course.
I support the local team, so.
Yeah, they've got a fantastic England core, and I think Rajasthan Royals is a kind of a party in which you've got the perfect menu, you've got all the ingredients, but somehow the chef still managed to screw the dishes up. I think it's that kind of a party. You got everything, but you still don't really achieve anything, and that's tough on Rajasthan. Thank God Kuldeep didn't take a fiver and Gill score 100. Otherwise, KKR fans would have spanned KKR IPL champions, of course. All right. We're getting into the IPL groove here with the mini auctions day after tomorrow. David Lloyd was begging ECB not to send Moeen back just yesterday in his article. Rohit says, I don't get it. You know why I asked Nathan this? And I'll come to you, Siddharth, with this. Just a couple of comments later. But I'll come to you. It defies logic for me because Moeen Ali unfortunately contracted COVID-19 once he reached Sri Lanka, or he probably was already carrying some symptoms that probably weren't detected because he might have been asymptomatic. But he didn't play a ball of cricket in Sri Lanka. He did not play the first test match. And he's played just the one test match. And let me be honest, he scored above 50 runs and he's taken 8 wickets in the test match. You're sending him home.
I'm not sending him home.
I'm not talking about you. I'm looking straight at Silverwood. I'm looking at the ECB and all of you guys. I don't get it. Why are you sending Moeen Ali home?
Nobody gets it.
Siraj is a fast bowling all-rounder, Atul says. Yeah, I mean, And special shout out to Pant's Spider-Man moves. Yeah, the last, both the stumpings from Pant, the one with Dan Lawrence and then the last, I think Moeen Ali one. Both of them are fantastic. So was Ben Foakes in the English innings as well. So Siddharth, just a word on Moeen Ali, and then we can start looking towards the third Test match as well.
Moeen Ali took a 5-wicket haul. He also impressed and showed the way how England should bat on this sandpit of a pitch. You send him home, but I guess the composition of the England team is such, like, you already have Dom Bess, and you have Jack Leach. You want to overstuff them with spinners. You want to play a lot of spinners in the England team. You have Archer who's injured. You have Anderson waiting. You have Broad waiting. So where would you slot Moeen Ali? Either you play him as a batsman, you don't let him bowl, or you play him as a bowler, but you don't let him bat. It's like a problem of plenty for the English players. Basically, I would like to say that it doesn't make sense. If Bess gets injured, if Leach gets injured, then you at least have some backup. Why would you want to send him back home? Unless he's going to play the entire IPL and get the 7-8 crores. That's another thing altogether.
We have a couple of backup spinners.
Sorry?
We have a couple of backup spinners still, Verdi and Parkinson.
Exactly.
Verdi's an FA.
Do you give either of them any chance of playing in the next 2 Test matches?
No. Because two
reserves. If Bess and Leach are there, Bess and Leach will play. The 4th Test, probably the 3rd Test, you might see only Jack Leach if that's the case. With Leach is actually
Jack Leach and Joe Root. Jack Leach and Joe Root. And even if Dan Lawrence plays, because even with Zach Crawley, if the noises we've been hearing, we're still not sure whether he'll be entirely fit to take the field in the 3rd Test match at least.
No, but Bairstow's back.
Oh yeah, of course, Bairstow is back.
Back. Yeah.
So he could. So you see him replacing Dan Lawrence straight away, isn't it, Nathan?
I see that happening. I think he'll come in at 3. Just talk Crawley in for Burns.
What about your worry about Mohammad Shami, the ball coming in, the gap between bad and bad?
Well, that is a worry. I don't know really how to explain it, apart from just hope for the best. Do a Moeen Ali and swing and hope it hits the bat and goes for 4. It is on a serious note. It is a big worry.
Yeah, I just hope. I think Dan Lawrence also showed good application. He was, frankly, you cannot keep going down the pitch just for the fact of going down the pitch in India. You have to be very calculated, and you saw what happened with him. Ravi Ashwin was quick enough to bowl the ball wider, and he misses the line, and that's fantastic. But fantastic glovesmanship by Rishabh Pant to take the ball, and then as Siddharth, shouted out in his comments there as well, Siddharth Rege, he said, special shout out to Pant's Spider-Man moves. It quite really was a Spider-Man move because he's taking it and then flinging himself towards the stumps and getting him out. So that's fantastic by him. Siddharth, I'll continue on with you. Now that we have the Test match in the bag, the series is 1-1, and I think I mentioned this a couple of times since the first Test match started as well. This is going to turn out to be one of the most exciting series on Indian soil in quite a long time. I think the 2-1 versus Australia was quite exciting for different reasons, for different controversial reasons. Sans the controversy, I think this is going to be more exciting there because you don't really have that many issues when you play England as compared to you do with Australia. So coming back to this series, how do you see us lining up, the Indians taking the field in Ahmedabad on the eve of the 24th, I think 24th afternoon, as they say?
Yeah, I think India are in a very good headspace now because the ping ball test, yes, they have played 2, they have won 1 and lost 1. But the Adelaide one was in Australia's conditions, and frankly, in India, it may not assist that much of swing. I mean, it will take something fantastic to generate the amount of movement off the pitch. I would like to say that because the SG ball behaves differently, the Kookaburra behaves differently, the Dukes may behave differently. So India are in a very good headspace. They have a problem of plenty, like I said. So my ideal playing 11, if suppose Shubman is not fit, it would be Rohit, Mayank. The batting order is sorted. You have Pujara, you have Kohli, you have Rishabh, you have Ajinkya, Ashwin. That's your 7. Who will be? Will you play 3 pacers? Will you play Bumrah, Ishant, and Shami, or will you stick with Ashwin and Aksar? That is the call that they may have to. Because Aksar, if you look at how he bowled in Chennai, he got most of those wickets with a straight delivery. Got it to zip. It was not rank turners that got. Of course, he psychologically dented the batsman's morale with rank turners, but it was straight deliveries, like straight out of the Jadeja mold. That kind of tactic will work with the pink ball if there is zip in the night air, if there's dew.
Yeah, for sure. And Siddharth, it's the one ground he's played cricket all his life, isn't it?
Absolutely. But this is a new look Motera. I mean, the old Motera is gone. 110,000 the capacity. You'll have, if they have 50% crowd attendance, imagine it is 55,000 people.
It's sold out already.
It's sold out. That and in a new pitch, because after the ground was renovated, it will be a totally different pitch also. So it will be very interesting to see how it behaves. Firstly, I don't think it will be that old Motera where it is a flat wicket and then it will crumble. I think it will be a true wicket. Since it's a pink ball test, it has to be a true wicket. So here's hoping that they stick with the right combination. I again say India in the past have lost matches because of combination, poor combination. If they get their combination correct, then it's 2-1. Despite Anderson, despite potentially Archer, if he's fit, their bowling attack is potent. The pace bowling attack for both England and India are potent. Let's make no mistake about that. It's the spinners. And Ashwin, even with the pink ball, now with the kind of form that he's in, he takes the condition totally out of the equation.
Yeah, totally does.
Absolutely. And I was going to come to Afzal straight away, but I think he's facing a few net issues. So I'll come straight to you, all right, Afzal's back. Afzal, when it comes to Siddharth asked a very pertinent question. He asked whether you will play 3 seamers and 2 spinners, or whether you might look in at a fast bowling all-rounder, or what is the combination of your bowlers going to be? Because pink ball test match, as Siddharth says, the pitch is going to play more true. It is not going to be as tricky or as spinner friendly as it was in Chennai. And also, if you look at the pink ball in particular, because I've seen videos of how SG is preparing pink balls, because we don't really get to see the videos from Kookaburra and Dukes, but the SG video, they made it public, and you can see they apply an extra layer of lacquer on the ball for the shine to make sure the pink gloss is contained. That extra layer of lacquer, as Siddharth very well mentions, will allow the ball to zip, will allow the ball to skid. And as he mentioned, Akshar took most of his wickets on a straighter one, or on the ball that turned lesser. So do you think Akshar becomes even more important, or do you still think Sundar will be preferred?
So first of all, the pink ball, we have seen the SG ball, how it has deteriorated. Even Ashwin said it during the first test that he hasn't seen the seam tear up at the stroke of 50 or 60 overs. So I believe that the wicket, in order to preserve the ball, because it being a pink ball test match, the curator might leave more grass than normal in order for to preserve the pink ball. And because of that, India will go in with 3 pacers at least. And I don't think that Shami will be fit, or I have some doubts on his bowling fitness, because we have seen how rusty you can be. We saw Ishant Sharma in the first innings, in the first test, and how rusty he looked. He was way inconsistent with his lines. He was consistent in patches. So because of that, I will go ahead with Bumrah coming back in place of Kuldeep. That will be the one change. So Bumrah, Ishant, and Siraj will be the 3 pacers. Because even as Nathan said about Bairstow being caught on the ball that jacks back in, Siraj has the tendency to bowl that line. We have seen how he troubled Aussies in their own backyard with the ball that comes in, that jacks back in. So he becomes even more crucial in the absence of Shami, because we need consistent players, because the series is tied 1-1, and the next game becomes very crucial in determining what happens to the World Test Championship scenarios. And to the point of Akshar, I still will stay true to what I said earlier. If this team management has any doubts on the batting of Akshar Patel, with him not being effective as the number 7 batter, they will drop him. We have seen they have dropped Washington Sundar after 250 plus scores in
Yeah.
difficult conditions. If they have done that, they possess the
Yeah,
capability
of
to
course.
drop Akshar
Agree.
Patel even after a 6-4.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely,
if there are any
absolutely,
doubts on
Afzal.
Akshar Patel's batting, he will be dropped.
All
Yeah.
right. Pratnesh, I'll come to you. With respect to the test match, and of course going forward as well. My question is actually not particularly just with the third test match. It is to do with the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
India need to actually put a plan in place wherein they can now start to invest in the fitness of their fast bowlers and of their fast bowling
Yeah.
all rounders, because we are seeing that for almost 3 years we have missed Hardik. I
Yeah.
don't accept that any injury can keep a player out for 3 years from the biggest format of the game. I don't accept that. We've seen impact injuries are impact injuries. You cannot do anything about that. On ground
Yeah.
injuries are on ground injuries. But handling those injuries, someone like a Bhuvneshwar Kumar, had he been available, would have been one of the first picks in the pink ball
Wow.
test match. Would have
Yeah.
been one of the first ball picks because he can swing the ball both ways. He can bat also. He's a good fielder. He's an overall package of a cricketer. So,
Yeah.
do you think now that we have the resources, it is vital that every player is on a specific fitness program, which I'm sure a lot of them already are? I still
Yeah.
feel there is a little bit of it lacking. Why we have some players who are ahead in that race and some people who are behind in that race.
Yeah, and you look at the ECB. I mean, Nick Knight has been reminding us of it every day that they have players, these fast bowlers like Ollie Stone, Craig Overton under some fast bowling development contract, wherein they can pick out these players from their respective counties if necessary and put them into certain rehab programs, training programs, etc. whenever they need be. The problem with Indian cricket is the amount of cricket that you play over 12 months. It's so rigorous that it's very difficult for the players to even play a Shahid Mustaq Ali trophy, let alone any Vijay Hazare or Ranji trophy games. So that part of the development course, or that thing that ECB has, we probably cannot implement it in the same rights. But then we can probably take a leaf out of what they're doing in this series. That considering that in the fast bowling department, as I said, we have Bhuvneshwar, we have Bumrah, we have Shami, we have Siraj, we have Ishant, we have Umesh. We have six really quality bowlers, fast bowlers in the setup. And in India,
Natarajan, we've not
Natarajan,
spoken about
yes,
Natarajan.
we have not spoken about Natarajan. Natarajan is 7. We have not spoken about Shardul. Shardul's 8. So we have
Shardul is
like
8. Saini, have you spoken about Saini?
Saini. No, we haven't. Saini is 9.
So, I mean,
So
there is there
this
are,
just
there are
takes
at least
one.
10,
Yeah,
11, 10, 11
10,
good
11.
fast bowlers that India have. Yeah.
Exactly. So and anyway,
Deepak
in
Chahar.
India, Deepak Chahar, yes.
And you have
All
So in
right,
forgotten
carry
Khalil,
on.
who was touted as the left arm
yes,
variation in this bowling department.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
So
I
you
mean,
So
have
in
multiple
a
players.
fast bowlers
yeah,
11. You have
fast
a
bowlers
Yeah.
11.
dedicated team of fast bowlers 11. Indeed.
Yeah. So now
At
Yeah,
the
one
now
point
the
of
thing
time,
carry
is, yeah. So
just
now
one
the
thing.
thing
At one
is,
point
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
time, we had Rishi Dhawan as the pace bowling all rounder. So you can imagine how developed our fast bowling resources are now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
carry on.
yeah. So now that we have 10, 11 really good bowlers and probably 5 or 6 absolute top quality bowlers, fast bowlers. At one point in the squad in India, there are going to be a maximum of 4, probably the worst case scenario, 5 bowlers. And if you go to a foreign country, probably 6 or 7 bowlers. So in any case, at least 4 of your bowlers are not, going to be a part of the squad. And if the Indians can take a leaf out of ECB, try to rotate these bowlers. Probably you keep Bumrah, Shami, and Ishant in the squad, no matter what happens. But the rest of them, you can still rotate, give them separate training programs, recovery programs, probably work on their fitness as well. There can be instances like in this series where one match you drop Bumrah, one match you drop Shami, one match you drop Ishant, and let the others also have their hand in the game, because I think that's how our bowlers will develop. You can't just expect them to keep on playing the A2s and the Ranji trophies and expect them that when the need arises, they will have to step up all of a sudden. You can't just have a Washington Sundar and a Shardul Thakur every now and then. We have to be more careful in the way we groom these players. So I think we have to set up programs for these kind of players and the fast bowlers especially, because workload management becomes a major question, especially with someone like Bumrah who plays every format of the game. He plays for his IPL for 14 games, and inevitably when Mumbai reaches the final, it becomes 17. So that is the workload that he has. Slight dig there, okay, but but again, coming to fast bowling all rounders as well. We had Shivam Dube who was also in that list. We had Hardik Pandya. So we have these two who are going to be there in that list. Probably, I don't think. I think even even Harshal Patel was talked about at one point of time to be in that list as well. So we have even these players need to be managed properly, especially Hardik Pandya, because he is going to be crucial for us, especially in the foreign tours. Now that he has proven himself that he has the ability to play as a proper batsman as well in the T20s or in the one day setup, he becomes even more important for India. So how they deal with his fitness is going to be key. And I remember Ishan Kishan talking about this thing when he said that the kind of fitness which Hardik and Krunal go through, which they actually helped Ishan Kishan during that lockdown period. It was so rigorous and so difficult for Ishan Kishan to follow that he couldn't really completely get it. But then he still managed to get fit. So now the rigorous, like the intensity of the workout also has to be managed, right? You can't just keep having this, and which is why this action is also going to be changed now for Hardik, because he has that issue with his back because of the action. So now there are a few things that needs to be worked out, and Indian team really needs, like the BCCI's player management. I think we can take a leaf out of the ECB and the way they are managing their players, learn from that, because unfortunately player management hasn't been our strongest forte over the years. We need to take that into our board, and make sure that these fast bowlers, these fast bowling all rounders, even the batsmen for that matter, are really well kept. Everyone gets their chances. Everyone's rotated enough so that with the intensity of cricket, you can actually manage to pull out good performances. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि all of a sudden the World Cup, all of a sudden the Rishabh Pant comes in at number 4 and expected to win a game for India. You can't let that happen. You have to make those players play the games, and then if they develop accordingly, they will be very accustomed to the match situations quicker. They'll be accustomed to playing different teams in variety of conditions quicker. I understand the A2s is already doing that, but then actually playing international cricket is a different ball game altogether. So I think India needs to do that.
All right.
But it's a
Nathan, quickly.
it's a very fine line. It's a very fine. Sorry to interrupt, Sagar and Nathan. It's a very fine line. You remember when the Australians were doing the rotation policy? Yes. Mitchell Starc often complained that, oh, why have I been left out? I'm bowling in good rhythm. I'm bowling in good line. I'm actually fit. It was fitness preservation. It was rotation, but that was heavily criticized. Even at that time, they were playing 3 formats in one go. Now, we saw how the NCA and the BCCI almost bungled up in the Rohit Sharma fiasco.
Yeah.
During the IPL and cricket and in the tour of Australia, BCCI announces that Rohit is not being included, but Mumbai Indians upload a video where he's training. The communication system, and I remember Wasim Akram's one good line. I think it still holds true even today. He said that the more you bowl, the better you become. Has that changed because there are too many formats? Because if you look at Bumrah, pre-stress fracture, he was taking regular 5-wicket hauls and he was intimidating opponents. But now, after the break, after this rotation and all, somewhere down the line, he may have lost a bit of rhythm, if you have to look at it.
Yeah.
He bowled well in Melbourne, but again, because of the workload thing and everything, because he was rested, he was back injured in Australia. He played in Chennai, but dropped again. Now he'll be back with a pink ball. So it's a very fine line, and I don't think there can be an overnight solution as far as, because it's not like Australia where they have only 6-7 good bowlers. It's not like England where there are 6-7 good bowlers. India has got 11-12 good bowlers. So
absolutely. And
how do you divide that policy? How do you devise that policy?
Yeah.
Will be incredibly. I mean, it needs a doctoral thesis kind of a thing to understand. How can you do it? Because the talent pool in India is vast, and the IPL will only bring out much more talent.
Yeah.
So what do you do
Absolutely.
in that situation?
Yes.
And
If
Siddharth,
anyone
and
from
just
over
to
here
add
can
to that,
successfully devise it, we can actually get a doctoral degree for that, I guess.
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, I think it also requires quite a good level of management in that sense, because I've often seen Stuart Broad's interviews where he was quite annoyed at being at being rested or at being rotated when he felt that he was in his prime rhythm. And often for Jimmy Anderson that's happened with him, and he's not been particularly pleased about that. So we'll go there, but Nathan,
Just
my
one thing.
questions.
Sorry, just one thing, because one more factor that comes into the discussion here when you talk about workload management is that the longevity that the player has. If you say someone like an Ishant Sharma who has probably 3-4 years left in him, realistically, considering his age and his fitness and how injury prone he is, if you ask him that I'll rest you for 4 games in this 4-year period, he'll be like, I have only 4 years left in the tank. If you make me sacrifice those many games, then what will I do? I will have to stop playing eventually, but I am at my peak. I have this much left in me. Why do you want to take this away from me? So even that needs to be considered,
That is,
that how
of
much the
course.
player has in him while devising the plan for this workload management.
Yeah, and as Siddharth also touched upon that fact that before Bumrah's back injury, before the stress fracture that he suffered in his back, before that there was a different zip in his bowling. I also feel to an extent now Bumrah isn't bowling, isn't overstretching his body as he used to. I think he's bowling within himself to an extent. We've seen Bumrah hit 150s earlier. We're not seeing that. We're not even seeing late 140s. We're seeing early 140s, at best 145 clicks, one odd delivery here and there. But I think he's bowling slightly within himself. That could also be something to do with the conditions, the test match scenario, wherein he might have already decided for himself, this is how much I'm going to push my body. Everything's so technical in cricket these days in terms of your sports science, your biomechanics, your actions, your repetitions, the number of reps you're going to do. And as Siddharth mentioned, Nathan, the great Wasim Akram mentioned, you become a better bowler by bowling more deliveries. And while that is true, that may not hold so true in today's circumstances when so many different aspects of your body and fitness are to be maintained through and through. There was a question there. This question by Vijay: have England called in any additional players for the third and fourth Test match of the series? I do know for a couple of players. I would love for you to let us know of all the players and any that you might expect to see on the 24th. Wood, Archer, and Anderson Leach as the bowling attack for the third Test match. I highly doubt Mark Wood would be playing. Man, I think it will be Archer and Anderson. I don't know who would be the third one. I think Vokes might be the third one, as Nathan might agree there. And Atul says, I was hoping to see Virdi there. I don't think Virdi is going to play, as Nathan mentioned. So Nathan, just a question on Sam Curran as well. Do you see him playing? Because he's so left armers, left arm seamers, so left arm swing bowlers and seam bowlers, not express pace like Mitchell Starc, but someone who is 130s, who can move the ball into the right handers, who can even sometimes even go with the natural angle with the ball just keeping straight. They've troubled India a lot. We've seen Mohammad Amir from Pakistan, Trent Bolt from New Zealand. We've seen Sam Curran in the past as well. Do you think Sam Curran could be a vital factor in the third Test match, or do you think he'll not be selected?
I did check the team before. Actually, we've announced the team. Don't quote me, but I don't remember seeing Sam Curran's name. I'm not saying he weren't there. I'm just saying I didn't see his name in the 17.
So him and Johnny Bairstow are the two players that are joining the team right after this Test.
Right, Sam Curran has joined it, has he? Right, there were 17 names.
Yeah.
You can barely
He is in
5.
India. He is in India. Right. That's all I know.
I don't see him playing.
The team.
I don't think he'll play. Anderson will come back. That's pretty much as certain as anybody. I'm not too sure on Archer because this elbow thing is quite concerning because he had an elbow injury 12 months ago, was it? 18 months ago? And they're saying it's not the same thing, but it's two different elbow injuries in 18 months. I know the guy's still young and he's not played that much test longer formats, and you probably will pick up niggles. But it's just the fact it's two elbows in 18 months is a bit concerning. We've got to keep him fit for the next winter or the winter coming from October for the T20. So I personally wouldn't risk him for this next test. I'd probably give him the third, or again, I'd probably give him the fourth test. I think more of a fourth test, if it's more likely to be like pitch one, where he really will take full advantage of an uneven bounce. Because obviously bowls 90 miles an hour and is quite skiddy.
Yeah.
But I just can't see Archer playing the third test, if I'm brutally honest. I think he might stick with Stone. He looked good first innings from what people have been saying. I was having a bit of beauty sleep. I was catching up on a lot of sleep on day one, so I didn't see any of the game, but they're pretty impressive figures from what I've seen. But I personally think they might stick with Stone over Wood or Archer. The third choice, it's just going to go down to the pitch, because I don't know. I couldn't tell you if it'd be a spinner, if they're going to go back to two spinners, or if they're going to go with four seamers. I have to work it out with Ben Stokes. I always forget about Stokes.
Yeah, because he has bowled so little. Even in this test match, he barely bowled, and I think that is one of the reasons. I think they might have been holding him back for the pink ball test match. There's so many. It's so strange for me personally, and it's not just with England. It's with so many different teams. It's almost like they're trying to play future matches at the same time as they're playing the current match. And I feel like you should focus on today, on right now, on today's session, today's day of play, today's match, and then let the future handle itself, or plan for the future. But you can't be as rigid as you know that you're gonna send XYZ home, or you're gonna only select XYZ for this particular match. And I think that's somewhere we get lost in that particular muddle. I think that there needs to be a little bit of flexibility on the team management's behalf as well, whether it's England, India, Australia, or whichever team that is. This is maybe an update on Sam Curran. Sam Curran set to miss the third test match as per news to avoid bio-bubble fatigue. All right, but hasn't he just joined the bio-bubble? Well, he was not a part of the bio-bubble earlier. I am very confused. Okay, I'm very confused. I don't want to sound insensitive, but yeah, I'm very confused.
I'm not sure now. Did he? I'm thinking game. He played test in Sri Lanka, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
That's when he played test one. I don't think he played the second test, and I'm certain he missed the first two tests here. There's that many players. He's trying hard to remember them all. I might need to start making notes next time. I would be surprised if he's called. I would be surprised if he's called up. I would be surprised. I think we'll save him for because obviously I suspect he's still with CSK for the IPL.
Yes, he is.
I think we'll let him. I think we'll let him go to that more than the third test, because with the T20 World Cup round the corner in India, I think that'd be more important than he would be in the test. So I think we'll leave him to the IPL, to be honest.
So he'll be a part of. Sorry,
I have the squad open. He isn't a part.
What's that? Sorry,
he's in part. He's in part of
He
the
isn't a part. I have the squad open with me. The squad, if you want, I can tell the squad. The squad is Joe Root, James Anderson, Jofra Archer, subject to his availability, Johnny Bairstow, Dom Bess, Stuart Broad, Rory Burns, Zach Crawley, Ben Fowkes, Dan Lawrence, Jack Leach, Ollie Pope, Dom Sibley, Ben Stokes, Ollie Stone, Chris Wokes, and Mark Wood. So Sam Curran isn't.
All right, so I suppose Tejdeep's comment is perfect there. I think he's set to miss the third test match to avoid bio-bubble fatigue. My question is, he's already gone home, missed the first two test matches to avoid the bio-bubble fatigue. Why is the third test match a part of the bio-bubble fatigue? If there is fatigue for him, why is there no fatigue for Bairstow? Life is so confusing, so unnecessarily complicated.
The difference is, though, Sam Curran's been in the bubble a lot more than Bairstow over the last 9 months or so.
Yeah.
All right.
Bairstow's barely been in the test bubble for Sri Lanka, and I don't think he will be in the test bubble when we come back to you guys touring us or New Zealand touring us. So I think the balance of actually best of only doing 1 or 2 formats, whereas Curran's been in all 3, so that's probably why he's got more of that. So I think that's why Archer missed Sri Lanka, because of the biosecure bubble, or bubble, whatever you call it these days.
Yeah, and you're right. In that sense, of course, it's important for the boards to take care of their players. And guys, we've already crossed an hour, and so this is the last 5 minutes of the live. We'll let you guys go. I know we generally tend to extend a lot. I'll just take a final few comments here. Any news on injury or of Shubman? I don't think there's any update as of now. Tejdeep, he's been sent for scans, is what we've heard. Let's hope the scans don't reveal any internal injuries in terms of any hairline fractures or any kind of contusions in the muscle or any abrasions there. So as long as he's fine there, he'll be fine for the 3rd test match. Let's not forget there is an 8-day rest for these guys from today, which is the 16th of February till the 24th of February. If not 8, they've got 7 full days of travel and rest and a little bit of practice towards the last 2-3 days before the test match. So I think if it's just an impact injury, Shubman should have enough time to get over that injury and be fine for that test match. Atul says don't drop Ishant. I don't think anyone's talking about dropping Ishant. I don't think Ishant will be dropped. I think he'll play the 3rd test match. That will be his 100th test match as well. So that'll be interesting for him. Atul says KD might be dropped. Yeah, that means he's talking about Vijay is talking about Kuldeep Yadav. I'm pretty sure Kuldeep Yadav will be dropped. With respect to the circumstances. If he's talking about me, then that's a separate thing. I guess if I'm dropped, I'm dropped. Right? I'll take it on the chin. It's all right. I won't complain. But if that's the case, that's the case. I don't know where to take you guys. I think it's quite an ideal moment for us to round up this day. But from all 4 of you, I just want if you guys could. I meant don't drop Ishant ever, is what Atul said. All right, Atul, that's a bit much. That is a bit much. I mean, you would want Ishant to play, of course, but ever?
It won't be like Jimmy, who can play till 50.
It really could be. If you see Nathan, so Ishant Sharma, his better half, she's an Indian team basketball player, and she's supremely fit. So the both of them are massively into yoga, fitness, and staying healthy. He's actually improved his fitness in his 30s as compared to what it was in his 20s. So he's very much capable of playing. He's very much capable of playing for another few years. I think Ishant Sharma, and as you know, he's on the similar track as Jimmy Anderson. Surely he doesn't play as many test matches, doesn't get as many test matches as Jimmy Anderson, even if India are playing that many test matches. But he's performed way better after his 30th birthday as compared to he did before his 30th birthday. I think Jason Gillespie has a lot to do with that. Oh, there's a question. Thank you, Siddharth. You've saved me from actually having to use my own brain and ask these guys for questions. Who would be the Siddharth asks the question for both Sid and Nathan? Who would be the fast bowlers for both England and India pink ball test match? I think Sid, we've taken that question, but just to reiterate that fact, Nathan, if you could give me your preferred 3, and Siddharth, if you could follow suit right after that.
Woakes, Jimmy, and Stone for me.
All right, Siddharth.
Bumrah, Ishant, and Siraj.
Yeah, and as Afzal said, there is no point risking an undercooked Shami, because once again, if there is a recurrence of the injury, or if there is some other injury because he's not fit in terms of he's not bowling fit, he might pull a hammy, might pull his groin, something might happen to his back or something like that. He got a fracture. If you remember, he got hit on the hand and he broke his wrist or broke his forearm.
Forearm.
Broke his forearm. Sustained a fracture in the forearm.
36 for 9. If Shami would have played,
the Adelaide Test match, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, 36 one.
Yeah, the 36 one. Yes. He's been out.
I remember that one.
Yeah, of course you do. Look at the smile.
Darshan asked the question deliberately. Let us remember that he asked the question deliberately to open up old wounds.
He wanted to end
Why
on a
not
high.
Archer, Nathan? Siddharth is asking, why not Archer? I think
Because-
he's answered that about the elbow.
The elbow does worry me, and we've got to think about it. I know you said you shouldn't think too many games ahead. I think somebody of Archer's stature and what he's going to do this year, or the precedence on him, I just think giving him that extra game will be a little bit better for him personally. I know medic, and it might have just been that it was tired or he's still adapting and things like that, and he might be able to have actually just be play. But I just don't think it's worth the risk for what we've got coming up this year. That's my personal opinion. People may disagree, but I'd rather he missed the third test and do something really bad to his elbow and be out to 3 to 6 months, and he's racing fit to get back for the T20 World Cup in, is it September or October?
Yeah,
I think it's October.
Yeah, so
October.
I'd rather him not risk having to get himself back fit for that and be very fit going into it rather than any risks. I thought
Nathan,
we
we would
played
also
with the ball.
rather take Archer. Archer not playing. We would also rather take it not playing.
Just one thing. Nathan,
Jofra Archer is genuinely a fantastic bowler. Afzal, you were saying
Yeah.
something. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, so Nathan completely ignored Mark Wood, because if you see what the English team has done in the first test, they had Archer as their express pacer who could exploit the conditions with his pace. Here they had Ollie Stone. They can use Mark Wood as well, because Vokes will nibble the ball, use the seam to its effect. But Mark Wood can be the guy who can provide express pace, is what I believe, because he hasn't been included in the first two tests. I believe that is the reason they wanted him to be there in conditions that might favor him at Motera.
Yeah, but he did play both Sri Lanka tests, so that's why he's missed the first two. He's probably, for you football fans, he's the cricket version of Jack Wilshere. Well, he is, isn't he, really? If you've seen the track record. But there is a good chance Wood will play. Again, we're all talking about who would play. I'm imagining a certain type of pitch when I say those three. We could be having a completely different pitch, and I probably end up picking 3 different seamers, or maybe even down to 2 again. So I'm going to have to pitch that. I'm thinking from what you guys have said to me. So that's why I just picked those 3. But again, it's down to the pitch, and I think there's a lot of unknown, and it's going to be a bit hard to judge Joe Root's selection till day 4, day 5.
Yeah, and on that note, I think Jofra Archer, we do expect as Indian fans, if there's a test match that he's going to play, I think it's going to be the 3rd test match. They're not going to make him play the 4th test match in which he's going to be under the sun for most of the time, or the teams, both the teams are going to be under the sun. I think if you're going to play him, you want to play him in much cold, more comfortable climes as compared to what will be during a day test match in Ahmedabad in March, because I think that's going to be brutally hot in the first week of March from 4th to 8th. For both the teams, it's going to be quite sapping there. But all in all, it's been a wonderful test match. It's set up an exciting series. I must add, Mike, my absolute credit to the visitors, to the English team, for the way they performed in the first test match. They tried to fight in the second test match. They were outdone by the conditions, and of course, most importantly, by the team that they were facing. So it's set up for a fantastic series heading into the last 2 test matches. It's a shame that the series don't have 5 test matches so that we can get a proper result. And especially in nations like India, England, Australia, and the likes should really play 5 test matches with each other. That's what we spoke about during the Border Gavaskar Trophy as well. We would have loved it if there was a test match after Brisbane at Perth as well. Would have loved to go to Perth and drop those guys
and win 3-1.
Well. Would have been fun.
Win 3-1.
Yeah, win 3-1. Would have been fun. Would have been a lot of fun, because after that Gabba victory, I don't think the Aussies would have come back. But once again, Prathamesh was saying
Kuldeep Tyagi might have made his debut the way the series was going.
Yeah, for sure. Karthik Tyagi.
Karthik Tyagi.
Karthik Tyagi would have definitely.
Well, you guys were an actual call-up. I don't think you're very far. Who's the batsman and who's the bowler?
Yeah. All right.
On a serious note,
Yeah.
I have heard rumours Kohli's going to be banned for the third test because of the way he
Sorry?
spoke to the umpire. There's rumours going round. Kohli's banned for the third test.
Yeah.
It's,
Hey,
at this
Menon.
stage, it's rumours. Touch wood,
I
it's
have
true.
no idea. I've not heard this.
Yeah.
But
it was down
could
to
be.
his way of speaking to the umpire.
Yeah.
It could be.
It
He
could
was
be.
quite free with the umpire, let's just say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He's at the risk of being banned. I can see a lot of articles. Article 2.8 is what the ICC scored that he has violated. Covers dissent at an umpire's decision. I think it's around the Joe Root decision is what they're talking about. So if he is banned, that will be a massive blow. But then again, we don't perform too well when Kohli is not there. We don't perform too badly when Kohli is not there, isn't it? So it's
Who
fine.
will win for Kohli?
I think it will be Mayank Agarwal.
Yeah.
I think it will be Mayank Agarwal. Ajinkya Rahane. I think if Gill is fit, if Gill is not fit, I think Mayank Agarwal opens and KL Rahul comes in.
KL will come in.
Rahul.
Yeah. So in batters, India don't really have a problem. It becomes with it probably is with the rustiness that both Rahul and Mayank might be facing. Mayank not so much, but Rahul definitely so. He's not played since the white ball series in Australia. So Siddharth says no for something. I think it is about Kohli. I hope it is about Kohli. Let's see how that goes, guys. I'll just quickly finish off the comments and call it an afternoon. Where are we? Yeah. Kuljot says, Moeen Ali going back. How bizarre is that? Kuljot, we've discussed that at length, and we are struggling to understand the reasons. Atul, of course, coming back, and Nathan. That's why Nathan isn't wearing English colors today.
I remember after the first test, the red English jersey coming out.
Yeah, there was. I'm wearing red on your behalf today, so. Okay, my bad. I didn't watch the show from the start. No worries, brother. No worries. Love to have you in the comments and on board as well. So I hear Wood. I like it. Atul, Nathan, you found Sritama as the massive Stuart Broad fan. Here is Atul, who's a massive Mark Wood fan. You can, from this tour of India for England, you can pick out 5-6 fans. You ever need a defense for your players, just pick them up, and they'll talk about them.
No one's taking Jimmy away from me, though.
Oh, yeah, no one's taking Jimmy away from you. Can Zach Crawley make his place by replacing Dan Lawrence, as he looked absolutely clueless of his approach, not looking settled for most of the time? What's your take on this? Frankly speaking, Vijay, I honestly really enjoyed Dan Lawrence yesterday. Today, he was, you're advancing down the pitch, and the bowlers outfoxed you by going down the leg side, and Rishabh's effected a fantastic stumping. But I felt yesterday, the way he started taking on Akshar, taking on Ashwin, going over mid-wicket, going over the square leg, and getting those boundaries and trying to use his speed and play, I felt Dan Lawrence was good. And again, it's his first tour of India, just 2 test matches on such tough pitches he's never played in his career. I think we should cut these young players a bit of slack. I think England have some fantastic. Nathan spoke about it quite brilliantly after the first test match. Within Crawley, Burns, Sibley, Pope, and Lawrence, amongst the 5 of them, England have a fantastic young English batting core, and he even mentioned a couple of batters who've not been called up yet, and they're still playing very well in the domestic county circuit. So I think it's a little unfair if you're gonna say Dan Lawrence was looking clueless. But Zach Crawley, Vijay, I don't think he's going to recover from his wrist injury as quickly as we hope.
Well, the actual talk is Crawley's coming in for Burns rather than Lawrence, which I don't think is very fair on Burns, because since Ali Cook, I think he's been our strongest opener. Yeah, he's had a couple of bad games, but he's an opener, for God's sake. Openers don't have a bad period. Look at Cook. He's gone through many of them. I personally wouldn't drop Burns. I like Burns. And I backed him quite early on, but that's the talk. Probably Michael Vaughan trying to just make himself big mouth again. I just can't stand him.
I won't say anything. I think you're not alone. I'm sure a lot of Indian fans would agree. Michael Vaughan. I think he enjoys it. He enjoys riling people up.
Yeah.
I think that's something.
That's
he
what he
enjoys.
did in
Abdul
2005,
Qadir.
didn't he?
That's such a wonderful name, Abdul. I hope you do understand the historical connotation of that name. Standing right in front of the Taj Mahal, if that's your picture.
It is.
India Test Series 3-1 win. Let's hope, Abdul, that's your wishes come true. Shashank, I've seen Shashank for the first time in the comments. Thank you, man, for joining. KL Rahul is what he's mentioning, I think, as a replacement for Virat Kohli if Virat Kohli is banned. Siddharth says no, as I mentioned earlier. KLR, he says no KLR. All right.
He says probably no.
KL
Says no to Mayank Agarwal in middle order. Probably says KLR is good option.
No, I think Mayank Agarwal comes in if Shubman is not there, and KL Rahul comes in if Virat is not there. Personally, I don't think they will risk KL Rahul though, in the sense because KL Rahul has not played any cricket for almost 2.5 months now. So that
So
could
what
be
do
a
you
problem.
do if Shubman and this guy Virat is
Then you have
banned?
no choice. Then you have to play both of them.
Then would you play Hardik? Is that option? I don't think so. But anyway,
it becomes a bit of a risky option, isn't it? I mean, you'll have to literally sit Hardik down in a corner and tell him, bro, play calmly. Bro, play calmly. Every 15 minutes, you'll have to
but
go
he's
and tell
shown
him.
maturity. He's shown maturity, like the
But
maturity
for
which
a
we didn't
test
see in
match,
Hardik.
Prathamesh, it's absolutely different.
But then he had a
And
limitation
to a
of
pink
balls
ball
too.
test match. Pink ball
Yeah,
test match, man. I mean,
Yeah,
I would
tricky.
trust KL Rahul. I would
Yeah.
trust KL Rahul over Hardik Pandya, to be honest, if you're just as a batsman, purely as a batsman. We will perform even better without Kohli. Good vibes is what Tejdeep says. Of course, KLR is a fine option in the middle order in case Kohli is punished. And I wish Vihari was in the bubble. So do we, Atul. So do
Yes,
we.
yes.
Hanuma Vihari is one of our heroes from Sydney, of course. And on that note, it's over an hour, 15 minutes. Thank you so much, Siddharth and Afzal and Nathan. Of course, the three of you have been so kind to join us for such a long time. As far as Afzal's concerned, do check out the Average Cricket Fan, his Insta page, and the wonderful stuff that he keeps doing there. I gave him a shout out for Palwankar Balu, and frankly, for all of you guys who've not seen that particular story, it's really fascinating. He did a quite interesting piece on the Pongal test, which was India's traditional festival test that used to happen, in Chennai. Of course, Tamil Nadu Cricket Association used to make it a mega event earlier in the past.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, since the late 80s, that hasn't happened. Let's hope that happens again. But do check out his his Insta page, Average Cricket Fan, and do spread the love, share the love there. Nathan and Siddharth, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. It's been a wonderful wrap to the second test match, and thank you so much for your opinions. You guys have been very generous with your time, both of you. And if there is anything, if you guys are ever free again, do feel free to join us. We'll keep picking on the both of you for your comments, not just for this series, for the many series going ahead as well. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us.
Pleasure.
Hopefully, I'll get my England top back on for next test.
I think there could be a good. You could be in for a good shout. That could be there. And Prathamesh, before I say goodbye to you, I'll just take the last three comments. Hardik plays only if he's fit enough to bowl. Siddharth says yes.
Yeah.
Siddharth, absolutely. I heard, bro, play calmly. He heard, bro, play calmly. Oh, Vinod Kambli, of course. With this test keeping standard, Ben Foakes might have made a lifetime boarding pass for all the Asian series coming ahead. Just need to focus a bit more on his batting. Yeah, I think Ben Foakes is not just. Frankly, he's the best gloveman in England. England should invest in him. He's a good enough batter as well. I think he can serve this English test team for a long time. He should be invested in. At least that's my personal opinion. Nathan, just final word on that, and then we'll end the live.
The strangest part is Ben Foakes plays his county championship games on the flattest wicket in England. So how he's come so good behind the stumps is an absolute mystery. But again, I think it's just to try and get the balance. We're trying to fit Foakes in. If he could bat three, he'd be in this. He'd walk straight into this team. But at 5, 6, 7, I think we've got a quite set team, and it's quite a hard thing to try and break. So it'll definitely be the backup wicketkeeper in Asia, but trying to fit him in permanently is going to be quite a difficult challenge, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, and thank you as well, Pratnesh. I was just going to come to you as well. So thank you, and I'm sure you must be very happy with Rohit's score and Rohit's century as well. All in all, thank you so much, guys, for joining us for these past 4 days of the second Test match between India and England in Chennai. The caravan moves from down south to the west part of the country. We go towards Ahmedabad for the first pink ball Test match in Ahmedabad. The first international match at the newly renovated Motera ground with the capacity of 110,000 for our non-Indian viewers. And we hope to see a 50% capacity there. We've heard of a bit of a COVID scare in both the states, in Gujarat and Maharashtra. Let's hope all of that is resolved by the time the teams are actually on the ground and ready to play. And then, the very fact that we had crowd in this Test match made such a huge difference to this Test match. Not just in anything else, but just purely, it was so nice to see, wickets going down and people actually cheering those wickets rather than it being some computer generated noise at the back, or sixes actually being enjoyed by the fans watching sixes rather than them hitting empty stands and coming back. So let's hope that we've got fans on the ground, and such a massive, humongous stadium, it'll look really, really weird if there are no fans there. So let's hope we can have fans, and do keep it locked to the Sports Join. As I said, check out Average Cricket Fan, Afzal's page as well. Do check out. I don't think I am in a position to give Siddharth any shout outs, but do check out his work, and I'm sure we'll be more than I get more than grateful to have him again. And let's try to, as we mentioned earlier, Pratnesh, let's try to get the three Sids together. The three of them can talk, and all of us can just sit and listen. And maybe we can add Nathan there as the moderator there for the three of them. That'll be fun for them. So that's of course there. And thank you as well, Nathan, for joining us. The Sports Join, we're back live at 10 p.m. every weekday. We're gonna continue the IPL discussion that we started yesterday. The remainder 5 teams before the mini auction we're going to discuss. We're going to be live throughout with you guys on the 18th as well during the auction. And of course, the Indian Test Series, Indian-England Test Series, every other international match that takes place. As far as I know, I think West Indies and Bangladesh are going to play a white ball series as well. The PSL starts soon as well. So that's something we'll be keeping a keen eye on. And of course, the mini auction on the 18th. So till then, this is me, Kushagra, on behalf of the entire panel, the Sports Join, signing off, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, mate.